Great. So, good morning and welcome to Creative Campfire. We are so glad to have you here today and welcome you into this conversation with some of New Hampshire's most incredible artists. My name is Amanda Whitworth. I am New Hampshire's 8th Artist Laureate and your host for today. I'm also joined by Ginny Lupi, the Executive Director of the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts, and I'm going to kick it over to her to say hello.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you all for being here today. This is our third Creative Campfire of this year, and we are so excited for the conversation and to have these wonderful artists with us. So again, if you do have questions for the artists, please pop them into the chat. I will be monitoring that, and hopefully we will have a wonderful, lively conversation. I'm going to kick it back to Amanda.
Awesome. So I want to acknowledge that I am in the building that is Pinkerton Academy, and I'm in the art room here. So thank you, Pinkerton. And as things are starting to emerge for performing artists, we're so lucky to use their Stockbridge Theater for a dance film project. So big kudos and snaps for Stockbridge and Pinkerton for allowing us to be here today. So today I'm joined by 4 very different and very incredible artists that I am excited to have the opportunity to talk with. And rather than reading a bio, I'm going to call on each one of them and ask them a series of quick questions that provoke some interesting information from them. So Alex, I'd like to start with you, if you could unmute. Yep, she's like, and push the button. Yes. So Alex is right off of the Poetry Month, and I'm so impressed that she's here, which is great. Alex is New Hampshire's Poet Laureate. So first question, are you ready? Alex, what is your full name?
Alexandria Perry.
Amazing. And where are you zooming in from today?
About 5 miles from you, Londonderry, New Hampshire.
Awesome, where it's kind of drizzly and still overcast. Yeah. And what is the discipline or art form that you work with?
Creative writing, poetry, fiction, and nonfiction.
Awesome. And what is your favorite color?
I guess blue.
Coffee or tea?
Most definitely coffee.
Excellent. What's one project that you've been involved in recently that is filling your cup, making you feel like you've done something excellent?
I'm really proud of the upcoming North Country Young Writers Festival happening May 14th and 15th online for kids and adults in the state.
And how can we get involved with that or register to see that?
I would love it if you registered. Oh, by the way, Governor Sununu said today he's going to be giving an opening talk for the festival. So it's going to be a really great, we have so many cool people giving readings and whatnot. You just type in North Country Young Writers Festival. Again, don't be deceived by young. I'm not young and I'm going. North Country Young Writers Festival, and there's a registration link right there. It closes on May 12th, the registration.
Excellent, excellent. Coffee or tea?
Me again? Definitely coffee still.
Awesome, awesome. What is a piece of art that has inspired you, or who is an artist who inspires you?
Without a doubt, George Saunders, the fiction writer. Lincoln in the Bardo, his novel, and his most recent book of craft on fiction called A Swim in the Pond in the Rain. It's behind me. Great book.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks so much, Alex. I'm so glad you could be here. It's good to see you. Awesome. Theo, I'm gonna pop over to you.
Okay.
Hey, good to see you. This is awesome.
To see you twice, yes.
So, Theo, same question. What is your full name?
My full name is Theophilus Marty.
Excellent. And where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Manchester, New Hampshire.
Excellent. And what is your art form or art discipline?
My art discipline is more broad,
Mhm.
but I'm a dancer, drummer, also a songwriter, and a performer. So I'm all over the place.
And an educator too? Yes,
Yes,
all the things.
arts and educator. Yes.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Are you a summer or winter kind of person?
I'm more of a summer person.
I could have guessed that, but yeah.
Winter don't go
And
well for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe that was a bad question for you. Yes. Um, if you had your pick between a chocolate dessert and a fruit dessert, what would you choose?
I'll go for fruit.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Tell me about a recent project or a recent experience you've had that's really filled you up.
So recently, I just did a video, a virtual video for the NHTI, for
Mm,
a virtual performance from my home, and it was more for a cultural day for them. So I did a virtual video for them, which makes me really happy because I haven't been able to do stuff for a while.
absolutely. Yeah, it does feel a little bit though that there's some hope and the shell is cracking a little bit. So
Right.
fingers crossed that it keeps going that way. Tell me about an artist or a piece of art that inspires you.
Artist that inspires me in my broad life of music. As a drummer, I've been inspired by Babatunde Olatunji.
Mm,
As a drummer who came here in the 1950s, to bring the African, drumming, to the United States.
excellent. Thank you. It's really good to see you, even if
Thanks.
it's on Zoom. Yeah,
Thanks.
awesome. Margaret, I'm going to come over to you.
Okay.
Awesome. So, what's your full name?
Margaret Jacobs.
Excellent. And where are you zooming in from today?
So I'm actually zooming in from Salem, New York, but I'm assuming you want my New Hampshire connection, which is Enfield, New Hampshire.
Excellent. And what is your art discipline?
So I make steel sculpture and powder coated jewelry.
Sparkly or shiny?
A little bit of both for the jewelry. A little
Either.
bit of both. I like combining. I kind of like combining like contradicting materials and surfaces. So like matte and shiny, or glittery with natural material. So usually I'm doing combinations of things.
Really cool. Really cool. And what is a recent project you've worked on that's really filled your cup?
Um, so I have I actually have a couple of things that I'm preparing for. So I'll say like things that haven't really happened yet. But one thing that I'm getting ready for is an artist residency at the Franconia Sculpture Park in Minnesota. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a really incredible opportunity. And it's really going to be the first like travel that I've done in a year, over a year and a half, which is kind
Yeah.
of crazy.
It kind of feels scary. I feel like it's like, do I come out of the hole? Like, what? How do you do
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How
How do I
cool.
come out hiding safely, but
R-
still able to like move forward with my work?
r-
It's tricky to
Right.
figure out.
Yeah. Are you a coffee or a tea person?
Coffee.
Yes, me too. Awesome. And what about an artist or a piece of art that really inspires you or your work?
I've been looking at Rick Bartow a lot lately. So his sculptures, his drawings, his paintings.
Excellent. Excellent. It's really nice to meet you. Thanks for being
Yeah,
on.
thank
This is so
you.
cool.
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay, Manny, I'm gonna jump to you.
Awesome,
There he
awesome.
is.
I'm ready.
Yay. Well, welcome. Okay, ready. What is your full name?
Manny Ramirez, aka Felony, as my artist name.
Nice. And where are you zooming in from today?
I am zooming in from Nashua, New Hampshire, over at
Nice.
our Positive Street Art Studios.
Nice. And what's the weather happening down there in Nashua?
Yeah, it's kind of crappy out,
Yeah.
grays, a little bit of rain here and there, but hey,
Yeah.
it's New
Yeah.
Hampshire for you.
Nice.
Cold one day, super warm the other. It's supposed to be nice tomorrow, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Cool. Favorite color?
I don't really have one, but I guess if I had to, I would pick like blues, not a specific blue, but blues.
Yeah. Favorite kind of music?
Hip hop for sure.
Do you have a favorite artist?
Uh, I don't know, I have a lot of favorite artists. I have a lot of artists that I really like. I guess it depends on the mood and then the time. Jay-Z is one of them, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, uh, I don't know, some of the old ones, Biggie Smalls and Tupac.
Nice.
I don't know, pop music, pop, hip hop, I guess.
Cool. Really cool. Awesome. Tell me about a recent project that you've been really psyched about.
So there's been a couple recent ones that I'm super psyched about. One of it is the the downtown barriers here in Nashua that we painted. We got together with 10 other artists, 11 including myself, and we set out to beautify the Nashua's main street. Painted all together 69 barriers. And we worked together with another organization from Massachusetts who does awesome work up in Lynn. And they painted the other side of Main Street, and they did about the same amount of barriers. It was awesome connecting with them and being able to put together somewhat of outdoor art gallery for people who are kind of walking about and driving downtown and kind of enjoying the downtown experience. And then the other project is the Police Athletic League here in Nashua. They got a whole revamp of their whole entire space. The Building on Hope was able to basically rebuild the whole place from the ground up, and they
Wow.
put in a new elevator, which exposed a new facade to the building, which is now free space to paint on. And then I was able to paint two large murals there, which were kind of very near and dear to my heart. One because I used my niece as a model for one of the paintings, and the other one because it was part of the whole like futuristic like Black experience with like Black
Cool.
Panther and that sort of thing. So I was super involved in that project, and I loved every bit of it. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Yeah, we've been following some of specifically the Nashua Main Street project, which looks so really cool. So that's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
What about artists or artwork that inspires you?
Uh, Another artist artworks that inspire me. I have a lot of influences. With most recent, I like Cobra. He's an international muralist and street artist. And then some of the old ones like Basquiat. I love Basquiat's like whole like free free spirit of creating art. Um, and um, I'm kind of stumped with names, but I'm inspired and motivated by a lot of different artists, especially newer up and coming artists that are in the forefront of like street art nowadays. inspire me a lot. And it's more a lot about the hustle of it all, how it's like it's very fast. The art keeps changing, and before you know it, within a week or two, they've created amazing pieces of art all over the place, and it just keeps evolving, and I love it.
Yeah. Do you know about the Basquiat is on exhibit at the MFA Boston right now? Did you go
We
see it?
actually we went to see it the first week, I believe, when they finally opened, because it was pushed back from last year, and it was amazing. It was a really
Cool.
really great experience to see all of that. So yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Awesome. Thanks. Well, thanks all of you really for being here. This has been really special to just have some space where people can talk about what's been going on. And there's a lot of people who are joining us who are also part of our extraordinary arts culture and practice here in New Hampshire. So I want to call that out. We have some real talent in our state, and these conversations, I think, are illuminating that. And I hope the energy can continue forever and ever. So I'm gonna start. Margaret, I'm going to shift back to you, and I'm going to pose a question and have you be the
Okay.
first person to answer. And then we can popcorn around as you all feel you want to. So I'm curious about the scope or focus of your work. And I'm specifically curious if that has changed at all over the past year.
I would say that these I would say that not necessarily like, so in my work, I'm exploring a couple different things, thinking about my culture, and then where cultural influences overlap with like familial narratives, so cultural narratives and family narratives, and then just material shift and transformation. And so I think what I've noticed is that my focus has really been more targeted. And I would say that the focus and the ideas in my work are still the same, but I'm just trying to actively like get rid of all of the extra stuff that's just kind of like taking away from my focus or my energy and what I want to be doing and what I want to be making. And I was already feeling this before the pandemic, that I kind of needed to slow down and really kind of evaluate all the things I was saying yes to, if it was really kind of where I wanted to put my energy. So I think for me, like it's really helped me like target my energy, help me decide like, okay, what should I be saying no to? So that I can really focus and go deeper on what I want to create and I want to make and I want to say. And then I've also just been trying to like slow down and um, not been afraid to say like no, or actually let's do this next year. Because I've also had, I don't know, I've had a lot of things that our people organizations are like, oh, well, we're trying to start this back up this year. It's like, well, actually, you know what? I think I'd really like to take another year and to dig even deeper and then present something the following year. I think like my scope and focus has kind of remained the same, but I'm trying to just go be more intentional, and go even kind of deeper into what I'm trying to focus on.
That's interesting. I mean, one of the things that always people are saying now is like, it's okay to say no. And it felt like we just had to pile all these things on before, and that was just okay to bog yourself
Yeah.
down. So it's been interesting to hear people talk about that. Like, okay, it starts by giving my own self permission to say, no, I can't do that right now, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of artists were feeling that too. I think they were feeling the energy around that because I know a lot of my peer community was kind of saying the same thing. Like I was already feeling this energy shift of like, no, you need to like slow down, because more isn't better. And yeah, I've heard a lot of people who are kind of at that point.
Yeah. Interesting. It's also like a straight up hustle to be an artist. That's just what it is. So you just, it kind of is innate to
Yeah.
the practice of it all. So that's been really kind of curious and interesting. Theo, how about you? Is that like the scope and focus of your work certainly is changed, I'm sure, over this year?
Um, for somewhat, it has, shifted a little for me. But I've been doing a whole lot of different things. I've been focusing on, writing music and recording music. I've been traveling back home to Ghana, and I've been doing some, recording music, but I haven't been doing a lot of the drumming part that I do here while when I'm here since the COVID has hit all of us really bad and I can get to share in the schools which I do most of it for artists and residents, and also in the community it has been really difficult to be able to do that. But while that has put a pause on what I do as a drummer or dancer, I've had other focus on writing music and singing and making music videos while I go back to Ghana. So for me, I think I'm in in the circle, but coming soon, or hopefully, things will open up. Like it looks like things are gonna be changing, and I've been looking to have residencies that has been canceled, so I can rebook them for this coming summer, or starting in June, and I have some things line up that I'll be going back on. So for me, I can say either way, when things goes around, and I'm still keeping myself on the go.
Yeah, that's cool. It's been really fun to follow your music. That's
Right.
like so great too, you
Thank
know? Yeah, really neat. Yeah, how about Alex? You've been really busy and but I'm really curious about how this last year has sort of affected that scope for you.
Mm. Well, I think the last year has most definitely affected in a positive way my poet laureate work. It's just going gangbusters with all kinds of readings and events and doing things for kids in the state with writing and whatnot. But then in terms of an artist myself, I've just been working on projects that had even started, 2 years ago. So it's just keep going on the same things and polishing them and finishing projects. But I did have a really funny experience, funny, haha, where I looked at an old short story, old as in like started 3 years ago, maybe, right? And the character basically implies there was a pandemic in New Hampshire. It's like, oh my God, I gotta be careful what I write about,
It's all your fault. It's all your
Serious?
fault.
Where did that come from? Where did that come from? I'm like, you gotta be kidding. The character, yeah. And also, oh, here's the other thing. In the short story, people have worked. Why would I have even known this? People are working from home all the time because of a pandemic. Where did that come from? Anyway, but no, I don't know. My practice has stayed the same. And if anything, I think at least the poetry community in New Hampshire has gone like explosive with all kinds of online. What I love about it is that You know, people are going to things now without wasting a lot of gas driving places or being prohibited from, you know, because the distance are too far. So it's been pretty interesting. Um,
Yeah, it's really cool. I have to say, it's been so wonderful being able to like go to things on Zoom. I've been able to listen to poetry and listen to music and do these things. But then on the other end, it's been like totally crushing for performance art, right? Like there's dance, you just aren't seeing it and can't do it. And it's this like really double-edged sword. So yeah, I guess it's always that way, the yin and the yang. So Manny, how about you? So things have been rocking and rolling with positive street art, I know. What's changing and what's not for you?
For me, I think once, especially once the pandemic hit and it was serious for everyone, and I realized how serious it was. Um, I think I started to shift more inwards, I guess, and I started thinking about all the things that I had been doing in the past, in terms of artistically, and how um, there's a possibility that commissions may come in less and less, um, for the time being. And what do I do with that? So, I mean, as an artist, I've always thought if I could go on one of those retreats that you're just immersed into just a creative world for a month or two, or whatever. And I'm like, this is it. This is time to immerse myself internally and think about what do I want to create versus what does a client wants me to paint for them or create for them in any way. And um, start focusing on doing a lot of my own personal work, things that I enjoy doing, and then seeing how the public interacts with that, whether people want to buy those paintings or not, and kind of trying to find my style in a way, because that's one thing that I feel like for as long as I can remember, I paint because I can, I can do really well painting, but however, I've never really focused on a styles per se. I've been able to develop a lot of different painting techniques, and or learn a lot of painting techniques from different people, that I've added to my roster, but I don't really have something that I constantly do. Um, and so I try to navigate that, and I'm still doing that. Um, Whether I find a specific style that I'm just gonna stick to for the rest of my life or not, it's to be determined. But I think that's been my focus, to kind of go inwards, dig deep, and kind of figure out how I can produce more and produce what I want to produce more often. And then being able to pick the projects that I want to do, sort of how I believe Alex was talking about. Um, or sorry, was it Margaret? Um, that we're talking about kind of figuring out what you the things that you take on, the things that you want to do. Um, and yeah, I've been wanting to do more of that. And and then as far as the organizational point of view with positive street art, we have been for a long time trying to figure out, you know, where do we belong in this community? Do we deserve to have a space or not? And should we have a space or not, that we can share with the public? And the answer to that for a while internally has been yes. And Well, we haven't had the means or the resources to get there. And I think this time the focus is to get to that point. And now we're looking for partners and people who can get us to that level. And we're really focusing on that, so that we can provide a lot more to the community at large. So that's been my focus, is trying to drive PSA forward and try to drive myself as an artist more, I guess, more consciously. Um, and Yeah. that's really been my focus.
Yeah, that's interesting. So for all of you, I know that all of you balance sort of an independent practice with um, taking gigs or commissions or whatever it is for a client, I will say. I'm curious, you know, about how you I'm curious about what kind of resources you needed previously, and if you think those kinds of resources are different now as you start to think about being true to your personal practice, yet still serving your clientele. Like, what kinds of partnerships are you thinking about? And does the money come from different places? And do you prioritize a resource or a support network in a new way? Like, how are you thinking about that, Manny?
I think just try. I think this is the age where like um, there's so many resources available and so many different ways you can interact with the public and like much more like direct way too. And so I think what we're trying to do is trying to uh, like attack many avenues at once. So for instance, being able to connect with our audience directly and being able to hone that in and say, you know, we're trying to provide this service to our community. We need a little help from you, and then also connecting to the businesses within the community and saying, you know, we're trying to provide these things. Can we partner up and do something together? So I think it's just more of like trying to identify what resources are available to us, because we haven't really, I think we haven't as an organization really focused too much on that. We were really happy about just being able to provide to the community since day one, because we were we felt so lucky that the community accepted us to all like as a whole. And then we didn't strategically put a lot of the other practices in play to be able to move with a long-term future. And that's kind of what we're trying to do now. We're trying to see like what avenues are available.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
interesting. Well, is that like, so Theo, how is that looking for you, right? Because you have the ensemble too that you're hoping is gonna like emerge back and have the presence in residencies. What kinds of resources or supports are you thinking about, or what's emerging?
For me, um, the resources that I'm looking for to keep us going as an ensemble, it all depends on the sometime, you know, the grants, you know, that we get from the Arts Council and Creative Ground,
Yeah.
I mean NIFA, and other sources, you know, like Mass Culture, you know, Council and all that. And since you know we haven't been very actively, you know, performing, everything is kind of like seized, and hoping once you know things are normal and you know back on track again, you know we can, uh, follow and you know chase after you know resources you know that can help us you know do our gigs and even you know in the communities and all that. So it's been more of a challenge that we are not getting funds, you know, from anywhere. So we can, you know, come out as an ensemble, you know, to um, perform or even give a workshop in the community or anything like that. So it's been you know kind of like tough and challenge on our side. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that same. I just want to dance in public.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
that's
I've
interesting.
been missing the audience, the connection with the audience, that one-to-one in our audience connection. We've been, I mean, me personally, I've been missing that a lot. And doing performance virtually is not the same as, when you meet a person right in front of you, the connection that you changes someone's, um thought or someone thinking, and all that, you give them a new um thing to look at,
Yeah.
and your connection builds up, like you've knew them for a long time. So I've been missing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think hopefully it's coming. It's coming. There's a little warmth. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Margaret? I guess I want to ask you, Margaret, first of all, do you generally work as an individual and an independent? Is that studio practice usually to yourself, or are you involved in collaborative making?
Um, my practice is pretty individual. It's pretty insular. I do a few collaboratives per year, and I do some stuff. But I'm not doing projects where my practice is like part of it's about audience participation. It's more me in the studio, and then trying to find the opportunities and resources to like show my work at places or just participate with things. So yeah, so I do some collaborative things. I used to travel and do art markets, craft markets. Um, but it's pretty but my studio practice is pretty individual.
And are there similar supports or resources in place for you this year as there has been in the past, or have you had to be sort of creative about how to make those connections and bridges?
It's been so um with a lot of so before with a lot of the markets, like you put a lot of money in with the expectation that you're gonna get a lot of money back. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I pretty much just like tried to suspend my spending. So it was like, okay, um, all these places are shutting down. You can't have an outdoor art market with 1,000 people showing up. It's just not gonna happen. So luckily for me, I was able to just kind of say like, okay, well, don't spend anything, and then we'll see what can come in. So there's been more virtual opportunities that there has been in the past. The thing that's tricky is that the everybody's going after the same resources for grants and applications. So instead of competing with 100 artists, you're competing with like thousands of artists. And a lot of the funding kind of got either paused or switched to like emergency pandemic funding, which is great, but it's just, yeah, instead of the pool just exploded because everybody's resources kind of just went away.
Yep. I'm gonna affirm that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like so hard. And people, I do from some of these other conversations, it's been interesting to hear how folks are like looking for those new partnerships, or I mean, going back to your original um, comments about sort of allowing yourself to say no, to step back, but also people are allowing themselves to sort of step in and ask
Mhm.
new partners or engage in new sort of conversations to get really creative about how they can continue the practice moving forward. Are you do you see anything reemerging for your work, showing your work and selling work in New Hampshire?
What?
Like this summer? Like, are there any markets or showings or shows that will happen, come back online?
Uh, so generally I travel nationally. So I actually don't do a whole lot on the East Coast. I did have a solo exhibition that was supposed to happen this summer that I pushed to next year. That's going to be in Lebanon, New Hampshire at Ava Gallery and Art Center. And that was just something where I just felt like my brain was so all over the place and my studio was so weird this year that I was like, you know what, I really want to wait another year and put together a really meaningful show than try and rush it. Um, so I don't really have too much going on, I think. I have a I have a couple of things in the fall. I have a couple educational things that kind of popped up for the fall. But a lot of times I'm traveling around, so I'm not really, when I'm local, I'm working in my studio and resting and kind of like taking that time for myself.
Yeah, which is awesome and excellent too. Yeah, cool. How about you, Alex? I know that there's been a lot, but I'm really curious about what sort of supports that you need now or you see the poetry community needing now.
I don't know how to answer that question because I think that we writers are we're not in the same position as you guys, you know? I mean, we're just not. We're not suffering as much. We're just not. And that's just so I don't think we need anything, to be honest with you. I mean, in a larger sense, because we use words and it doesn't affect us as much, in my opinion. So that's how I would answer, you know? I feel really bad for people who are musicians and dancers and people who do things in person. I think it was Theo, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but somebody was saying just now they missed their audience. I think it was you, Theo. You miss your audience so much, right? And that really, when I heard that, it brought a lot of pain to me. I was like, oh God, I could really feel that, you know? But as a writer, we don't, for me, everything is multiplied. Like I can interview 2 days ago, I was interviewing somebody in Germany for something. You know, normally I would never have been able to do that on Zoom. That's just crazy. So yeah, that's how I'd
But
answer that.
that's an interesting segue though, because there are gains, right? There are gains to the circumstance. And I think we all deserve to talk about those gains. And so, um, yeah, tell me about those things. So this has been really, really cool to see the explosive way in which we can go see people reading or doing theater or whatever it is, right? Or engaging in a process with an artist, last Campfire, we had Merrick Bennett, who's turned his cartooning practice over online, and my kids are online with Merrick, doing these things. I mean, that's really cool. So tell me about some of the gains that have been happening for you, Alex. Like, there's some cool stuff happening.
Oh man, yeah. So again, you know, I'm a writer, so I have that special, you know, I don't have to worry about the physical presence. I mean, so many things have happened, you know, from the festival up north to doing things online with opioid survivors and mindful writing and all that. But I do have to say, and it's okay, I teach in Massachusetts and I'm not driving 3 hours every day to work, you know, so I have more time. You know, but the disadvantage, I was a little jealous of Margaret a few minutes ago because the thing is, I'm exhausted. I'm not doing any self-care. I'm really needing some self-care and I'm sure, you know, I don't know, I'm not very good at that. And I feel like when I have said no, people are not very respectful, including last night about somebody. So I just can't figure out what that's going on about, but it doesn't always feel so good, that part. So it's wonderful to be able to do these things. And I was there joking to somebody the other day, you know, I'm going to his festival the same weekend as my festival because I can Zoom, you know, in, check out, make sure everybody's okay, and then go to his festival. You know what I mean? You can kind of split yourself, but I think there's some consequences to that too. And it would really be interesting in 5-10 years to see what, I don't think our world is going to be the same at all in terms of this digital online stuff. I think there's a lot of blessings, but I think it's also done some things to our psychology too, if that makes any sense. Not to be gloom and doom, but I do think so.
Yeah, it is. There's going to be a lot of art about what's been happening and continuing to happen. Yeah, I'll kind of open up the floor to all of you. So I'm really curious to know about gains, and gains may not necessarily mean success, but might be aha moments, little windows that have opened up, or opportunities. So I'll just open the floor and you can feel free to unmute yourselves. Theo, I see you waving. Yeah, go ahead.
First, I'd like to thank all the audience, participating and watching us. Those are the audience, that I've been missing also on my real time of face to face, performance, them being my audience, and like Alice, was saying, the gains and like all of that. As a writer, that I'm really happy that it works well for you. As a performer, it really doesn't work for us at all, because we can either do a Facebook or streaming performance or a Zoom performance, but it's not the same as being a performer for like 20 something years, always be in front of the audience, or in the theater full of people. You're used to that. So when you don't get the same connection from, or the warmness from your audience, it makes it like little different. And that's where my thing is. And also sometime you know when artists will ask for what they want, and always is a bargain, it's kind of like a difficult, for me. And because we're artists, and we give out what we can give, respectfully, and so we should be also respected, to be given what we ask for. you know I find that challenge, most of the time, and it's kind of like something that goes on a lot, and I don't know how we can fix that. So I'm just asking a question on that too as well, so if anybody can help me with that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. It we could have a whole nother conversation around the bargain, um, and specific to our region too. In northern New England, I think that's really an important conversation, and a long one. Um, I don't think we have the answers and not the time today, but I just want to affirm that there is bargaining that happens to be an artist in northern New Hampshire, and particularly a performing artist. Uh, we have to negotiate public perception, funding, and our own capacity to give. And I think that's really something that has been a reckoning and an unlocking inside of a pandemic year, when we recognize our fatigue points, and we recognize the work that we put in to strive to be really wonderful at the craft that we love so much. So I want to say thank you for being honest about that. That's real. That's real. Yeah. Yeah. How about like Manny, tell me about that, because your artwork does both those things, right? Like it can become a personal or insular practice, and it can also be incredibly public facing. How are you negotiating that, and where are your gains, and what are the things that are challenges?
So yeah, so like I said earlier, I'm just gonna echo that. Like as soon as this thing started happening, I just saw like it was like kind of like an aha moment where like, wow, it's kind of like, you know, taking that sabbatical or whatever you want to call it, and like go inwards and try to be as creative as possible, um and just immerse yourself in your art. And then so so that, yeah, that's those were the gains for me. And as far as the other question, can you repeat that other question? Because I kind of got lost on the first one.
Actually, I'm gonna ask a different question, and it
Okay.
actually comes from Barbara in the chat because I think it's related to what I was asking. Barbara asked, "How has the pandemic affected your creative spirit? So your
Mm.
freedom to let go and express."
Yeah, yeah, that's it. It like basically, um it's made me realize that like, um any of your resources can be taken away at any point at any given time. And as an artist, and especially like a painter, or creator, the way that I am, I try to dabble in a lot of different two-dimensional or three-dimensional space. So it was more of like, you know, what can I do with what I have available right now? And you know, I feel like I have enough, and I have a lot. We have like, for instance, supplies have just they keep getting easier and easier to um to become available to you over the years. It's not like, you know, back in old ages where you had to like make your own tools and whatever. And so um I feel like we're privileged to being able to have that the access to those things, and it's very easy to get inside your head and get very creative with any of those things. So I took it upon myself to do that, and I have a ton of supplies that I've been hoarding for so long, and why not use them now? And so yeah, yeah, it's just, you go inwards and you create as much as possible, especially now. And I think, you know how they say how that movie, Field of Dreams, you know, like you build the field and they will come or whatever. So you create the art and share it with the world. And there's going to be somebody out there that's going to love your work, or at least have something to say about it. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. How about for the rest of you? I mean, has it affected your creative spirit? Do you feel more free, or do you feel locked in? What's that like for any of you? How about Margaret?
I don't know if it's really changed anything for me. Um, yeah, I think I've noticed like physically, when I slow down physically, it's hard for me to kind of get that momentum back in the studio. So I've been struggling with that. But I don't think, like, I would say my creative spirit hasn't, I don't think it's really changed at all.
Mm, that's good. That's awesome. How about you, Alex?
You know how when you mail an envelope to somebody and you didn't know they were deceased, and it can come back with a black box around the person's name? I don't know if you ever had that happen. I once sent a letter to my favorite writer and it came back, means that they're deceased. And so I don't mean to sound morbid. I don't mean this in any way. I think it's maybe my Buddhism side too speaking here, that I think the pandemic has put a black box around the moment, you know, and I realized, like what Manny was saying, that your resources can be taken away, and so can your life and your livelihood, or the lives of your loved ones. And I just think it's made me want to work harder, faster, because we don't have much time. None of us do. And that's really the truth. So it just compels me to do more and want to be there as an artist more. So
Yes.
Thank you. That's really interesting. How about you, Theo?
For me, the changes, you know, that I've had is where I'm not connecting, or where I'm not, you know, doing, you know, things that I do with my audience. And but beside that, I think everything is all right. It's okay, you know. Yeah. And I know we are gonna get back, you know, to I mean normal stuff, you know, that we do, and um you know, we'll see how things go. You know, that's what, you know, I can say, because we can't predict, you know, anything. So we just have to, you know, go along as things, you know, emerge, and, you know, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we are just a couple minutes to our closing time for the conversation. But one of the things that we've been doing to sort of close out our talk is share different things that are happening in our community, from something that you're doing to a favorite restaurant to an event to a playground or a park that you love, that you know of in your area. And so I will shout out Chamberlain Reynolds Forest in the Center Harbor / Holderness, which is central New Hampshire. It's a beautiful little swatch of land with trails and campsites and little beaches on Squam Lake. It's free. So if you are outdoor people, give it a couple weeks for the bugs to go away, but it's really lovely. And if you have dogs, can go there too. So if you're a dog person, you could get out and get away. What about the rest of you? Where have you been eating or going, or what local places would you like to shout out? Theo.
For me, I discover Mediterranean restaurant called Zemzem. Great food in Manchester by South Willow, end of South Willow, and you know they have a great food, and you know I love it. And I mean, I like everyone, you know, if you're in town, you know, you should check it out. They call Zemzem restaurant. It's a Mediterranean food, and they have everything, you know, that you want. And also, my spring has been great. I live in Manchester, and there's a pond, Dawes Pond. They call it Dawes Pond on the Livingston Park, which I take my son there, who really love fishing, and he's been, you know, catching a lot of fish, and you know we've been having a great, you know, springtime, you know, hanging around in Livingston Park.
Yeah, we've been seeing some of those fish pictures. That's
Right.
awesome. Yeah. And Laura's saying, "Yay, Zemzem." She knows it.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah, how about the rest of you? What's going on in your
I don't have a personal life. I'm like, what restaurant? We've been to one restaurant, our first in the whole pandemic, with my in-laws the other day. It was pretty good. It was just mostly the experience of being together, but I don't have a life. I hate to say it. I just don't. So I
But
can't answer that question.
pitch the young writers thing again?
Okay. Yes. North Country Young Writers Festival, and you don't have to be young to go. There's all kinds of events. Please sign up, and you can go to one event or all the events. We just would love to have you. So North Country Young Writers Festival. Thanks for letting me pitch that again.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, Margaret, what's happening? What's your favorite haunts around Enfield?
I've kind of like not been going anywhere. But there's this Turkish restaurant. It's in White River Junction, but it's pretty close to Enfield, called Tucker Box. And they started doing like curbside orders really quickly compared to like everybody else in the area. They're really fantastic. And what else? That's kind of the only place I've really been going to.
You're like, it's the pandemic year. That's awesome.
Yeah, I
I'll
don't
check-
really go anywhere.
I'm gonna check that out. My in-laws live in Lebanon, so we'll have to go check it out. That's awesome. Cool. Manny, what's going on in Nashua?
We have obviously the barriers downtown. So if you want to take a stroll downtown and check out all the barriers, that's one cool thing to check out. It's also kind of circling around all the murals that we have downtown too. So yeah, you can go take a stroll for a few minutes downtown or stop at one of the newer restaurants downtown that we have, which have awesome tasty food. And talking about food also, the Boston Billiards and Casino, they have really awesome food too there. And we have our fundraiser, our annual fundraiser there from May 10th through the 16th. Yeah, it's a really cool place to go to. They have really good food, and if you like a little gambling too, you can have some fun. And so I would say check out Main Street. And if you have any time, go to Boston Billiards.
That's awesome. And Christy's shouting out Brookline, New Hampshire, the Andres Institute and Sculpture Park, and also Parker's Maple Barn is right down the street. So all sorts of good things to do in the Shire. I just want to say thank you for spending some time today. Time is a precious commodity, even though our lives have been shifted around and changed up. So from Ginny and the State Council and myself, thanks for spending the time with us today and being really honest about the things that are great and the things that are kind of crappy about the past year and how things keep moving along. I'm really glad to be in the space with you. We will take this recording and put it up online. It will be on the State Council's website and also my YouTube channel. So we'll make sure we get that out to everyone who participated. So thanks again. I hope y'all enjoy a nice day, a beautiful spring, and keep making art with passion and a vengeance and a rigor and all the things. And I hope to see y'all in person in the very near future.
Thank you, Amanda and Jeannie. Thank you for doing this too.
Thank you all
it.
very, very much.